Okay, let's dive in. Imagine you're deep into this huge ongoing war in a game you love, right?
Yeah.
And then, bam, seemingly out of nowhere, a storm of negative reviews hits. And it's directly tied to something that just happened in the story. That's pretty much the scene with Helldivers 2 recently. We've gathered reports, community reactions, even some interesting notes about possible translation confusion. So our mission here is to unpack what triggered this sudden wave and what it tells us about, game stories and the players living inside them.
Yeah, the first thing that really jumps out from the sources is just the scale of it and how fast it happened. You're looking at a huge spike in negative Steam reviews for Helldivers 2, over 2,600 just on May 29th. That's 40 times the normal daily amount. It wasn't slow, it was a cliff, or a real sudden protest.
And when you dig into those reviews, especially looking at the ones from Chinese users, this one number keeps popping up everywhere, 99.9783%. It almost became this rallying cry. At first glance, yeah, looks like a typical review bomb.
Yeah.
But the weird thing is, the trigger wasn't some outside decision. It was totally linked to the story inside the game, the Galactic War itself.
Exactly. That number, 99.9783%, that's the key here. It relates to the defense status of this major city, equality on sea. And the community, while they quickly nicknamed it Super China, seeing the real-world connection, what the sources really emphasize is the incredible effort players put in, apparently with a massive push from Chinese Helldivers to defend that specific place.
Right, and they almost did it. They pushed that defense meter all the way up to 99.9783%. But here's where it all kind of boiled over. No matter what they tried, they just could not hit 100%. The city stayed contested even after this monumental effort. You can imagine the frustration.
And that impossible wall, that 99.9783%, seems connected, possibly, to reports about a potential mistranslation, specifically in the Chinese version of the game. Some sources are suggesting the translation might have implied that equality on sea could be fully liberated if they just fought hard enough, whereas the actual game design, or maybe the game master pulling the strings, meant 100% wasn't actually possible right then because the wider invasion on the planet wasn't over.
Ah, okay. So if you think you can win completely, maybe because of how it was translated, and then you hit this hard cap at 99.9783%, well, that could definitely fuel those existing theories players already have, right? This idea that the devs or the game master are kind of, rigging the outcomes for the sake of the story. Hitting that wall makes it feel like your massive effort didn't count, or it was just part of some predetermined script, amplifies those suspicions.
And what's really interesting, perhaps, is that even with all this review drama happening outside the game, the story inside the game just kept rolling forward almost immediately. An official in-game message went out saying the Battle of Super-Earth is won. It claimed the Illuminate forces retreated, though it did mention equality on sea and Prosperity City were still under threat. There was even this report about the president of Super-Earth being killed in the chaos.
So how did players take that news, this supposed victory? Well, apparently a lot of them were pretty skeptical, which makes sense in Helldivers. Players know that the game often uses in-universe propaganda, messages meant to manage morale, not necessarily tell the whole truth. So this whole episode, it really highlights just how invested players are in the dynamic narrative, and how quickly something like a perceived barrier, maybe even rooted in a translation issue, can blow up existing community feelings about control and narrative manipulation. It's this fascinating clash, isn't it? Particularly the developer's intended path and the community's interpretation and effort, especially when the game itself tells you not to trust everything you read.
Yeah, absolutely. This Helldivers 2 situation is such a sharp example. It shows how tiny details like hitting a specific number or how something's worded in translation can have these really significant ripple effects through the community. It really underlines the challenge for developers running these massive, evolving game worlds and managing player expectations within them.
Totally. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? In a game world where the story changes constantly and the news you get is possibly just propaganda, how do you, as a player, ever really know for sure if the war is won? Or if you've just reached the end of the current chapter the storyteller wants to tell?